Let's make some noise. Come on.
Thank you, Nick Foles. What's going on, everybody? And welcome to a special Friday night edition of The Final Word here on the It's Rap Sports Network. Your boy, MattyB, on the call. I am on Fridays. Wow. Is this what Friday night looks like? It's 8 o'clock. What the hell's going on here? I'm on Friday, and it's at 8 o'clock. Totally out of character for me, but I'm glad to be here tonight. Kind of making up for some lost time this week. Hasn't been the most, This week hasn't run like clockwork. I will give you that. I was really tired this week. I don't know why. Just had some major sleep issues, I guess. I don't know. But I'm glad to be back here tonight. I'm glad to be back here on Friday. And also, it satisfies a requirement here on the network that I really wasn't feeling to begin with from the very beginning. And that was that we didn't have anything scheduled for Friday night. Nothing. And I don't know when the last time we had that, either through a post-game obligation, the wraparound, stuff like that. We've always had stuff on Friday night. Now, next Friday, we'll go back to, we'll actually have a show, and it'll be the world premiere next Friday of the Philly Friday Frenzy. That's a lot of similar sounding syllables there with Big Al Zafiri. So, but the whole concept of Friday nights with nothing just kind of bothered me. So sort of worked out for me as I get to come on here on a very rare opportunity on a Friday night to kind of give you guys the final word legitimately of our broadcast week. Again, not the smoothest sailing broadcast weeks that we've ever had, but yet we got through it. And it's great to be here on Friday because I can really set the table for what's happening on the weekend. And another jam-packed Philadelphia sports weekend. You got Flyers, you got Eagles, you got Sixers. I guess the Sixers are playing right now as we speak. So we're going to talk some of the stuff that we have to look forward to for the weekend. We're going to dwell into the hot stove tonight. As the winter meetings are heating up, they'll start on Sunday and roll through next Wednesday. So hopefully these rumors that we're hearing about Phillies players become reality, at least for some of them. I mean, are we going to retain all these players that are going to hit free agency? I don't think they should. But hopefully we'll have homes for some of these people that we don't have to speculate about anymore at some point this week. Of course, the Eagles front and center on Monday Night Football as they will battle the Chargers in the most critical game to date of their season. And we'll break some more ground with the Eagles this week or tonight. Again, last night on the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, a simpatico, me and Kyle. I didn't like that, man. I didn't like me and Kyle being like linked at the hip like that. That was eerie. Usually we're opposites when it comes to a lot of that stuff. And lately, over the last couple seasons, we've been more seeing eye to eye about the Eagles. But and of course, I don't like the Eagles in this football game. I think they lose 28-21 was my final score. But we'll talk some more about Eagles if you like. Kind of put the final bow on that. And anything else you guys want to talk about to include your day in Philadelphia sports history, your card review, and your of the night segment. All of that is jam-packed into this beautiful, beautiful Friday night special edition of the Final Word at a special day and a special time. So, it is what it is. And let's roll. Let's have some fun. Ryan says, MattyB, what's going on, Ryan? Where you been? I kind of seen you around lately. You always look different. I always look different. Wow, how do I always look different, man? Do I have many faces? Am I like the chameleon? I think I look the same. Hair's a little, I've done my hair in a couple days, but what am I? A woman? Huh? I get what you're saying, no, Ryan. Ryan, it's good to see you. Again, you haven't been around lately, so it's good to see you. But yeah, looking forward to it. Again, didn't like the fact that we didn't have anything scheduled tonight on Friday. And let's take a look at that vaunted schedule. There you have it. You got me tonight, which is the only thing, and it wasn't even scheduled. So you got me tonight. You got nothing tomorrow. There's nothing I can figure out for tomorrow. So we're going to let Jesus take the wheel tomorrow, and we're going to go dead. I hate that. I hate dead air, but we're going to go dead tomorrow. And then on Sunday, you got the Philly AM Sports Show, Steel City Sunday pre- and post-game, and Flyers Avalanche clear the ice as the Flyers will be back at it against a red-hot Colorado Avalanche team. Definitely a game that the Flyers can sort of pin up on the wall and see where they're really standing and when it comes to the elites of this league. And there's no excuse for the Flyers. Flyers are coming off of a game where they played on Wednesday, so they got like 4 days off, 3 days off. And the Avalanche are playing tomorrow in New York against the Rangers. So the Flyers actually go into this game a little bit of an advantage. So let's see what the Flyers can do against Colorado. And here is that Clear the Ice schedule, wrapping your week up. It is me on Sunday, and then we'll rev up the Clear the Ice machine for next week and get it all started again. But let's roll. Let's get it going here tonight on the program. Let's strap in, strap on, strap up, and keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And here we roll with our day in Philadelphia sports history this day in 1998, during play of the 99th annual Army-Navy game at the Vet. A railing collapsed, injuring 8 cadets who were standing against a shoddy structure after Army had taken the lead late 31-30. It was an important precursor to the planning and construction of the Eagles' new stadium, Lincoln Financial Field, and the Phillies Citizen Bank Park. I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember watching a sea of Army cadets spilling onto the Veterans Stadium turf. And yeah, it was definitely something that negative publicity, it was not good. It was not good, but the good did come from it because it ushered in, the new stadium complexes that we eventually would get. And I don't think any of them were seriously injured, which is good. But I'll never forget that moment on live TV. And I watched it live as they came careening, like literally like they were spilling onto the field. But I don't think anybody was seriously injured in that. And I wonder if you could sue. Could you sue the Vet? And I don't know if the cadets could sue because they work for the government. I don't know how that worked. Anybody out there is listening and was part of that and maybe was one of those cadets, let me know how that worked and how you can get some sort of compensation for that personally. But there you have your day in Philadelphia sports history, the infamous Army-Navy game where the railing broke and a sea of Army cadets spilled onto the turf at Veterans Stadium on this day in 1998. And that was brought to you by another new program that we're going to get going next week here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, the Pittsburgh Sports Tonight program, as we continue to sort of be multinational, multi-layered here on the network. The Pittsburgh guys are going to launch a new show that will be seen every Monday and Tuesday. It was supposed to go off this past week, but scheduling issues came about, but we're going to get it rolling next week. So make sure you're there. And let's get this thing going here tonight. So let's start off with some Philadelphia Eagles. We've had an ample amount of opportunity to lament, marinate, and just get really pissed off about the state of the team over the past week, as we haven't had a football game in a week. The week was today. But on Monday, they'll get things rolling again against the Chargers in another attempt to get the season on the right track. And the big thing that I've taken from this post-Chicago Bear, and let's face it, post-Cowboy and Bears, seeing how the games were very close together, and just the deplorable effort over the past 2 games from this football team, is that I can see cracks in the foundation. I see cracks from the Eagle fan base all over the place. Fans have been very discontent about the team, and it's funny. Not funny, haha, but funny, ironic funny, is that we are once again locked in a battle between sane and insane fans, right? Fans that kind of saw this coming from the beginning of the season, and now fans who sort of took one side, but now are going to another side of this. And I don't know if it's necessarily, if you look at this game and look at it from a week-to-week sort of standpoint, I don't know if you can even look at the Eagles anymore week-to-week. And I think that's one of the things that's the big realization that a lot of Eagles fans are coming to, is that they can't look at this thing week-to-week anymore. It's almost like they're looking out into what the potential is, to win a Super Bowl. A lot like, I think they're acting and behaving a lot like Phillies fans, and we very, very well publicized and very well documented prior to the start of the 2025 season. It was all about October. I mean, hell, we haven't even played a game yet. It's March, and we're all about October. So I think that's the realization that a lot of Eagles fans came to this week, is that it's not necessarily a week-to-week season anymore for them. It's what this team is going to look like in January and what the prospects of this team, and if they can get this thing straightened out and make a serious run to repeat as world champions. And I think that's what's hit hard, the hardest to a lot of Eagles fans this week, is that as what they're seeing right now just is not registering as a Super Bowl contending football team. And it should be the hardest thing that hits. That should be the hardest thing that you're taking from this. It's not that you lost to the Bears or the Cowboys. It's not the way you've played against the Bears and the Cowboys. It's the realization that this team's probably not that good enough to go back and repeat as Super Bowl champions. And yes, squander an opportunity. Another one that we had to go back to back and start that dynasty. That's what I think the realization is. And it should hurt. I mean, my biggest narrative heading into this season was going to be, are they good enough to compete again for another Super Bowl? Are they good enough to give the fans of the Philadelphia Eagles something that they've deserved for years, and that is a dynasty, multiple championships? And I thought the offseason personally was just not that good enough. I didn't think they did enough. They did not stock the shelves properly. And now we're seeing that. And we're seeing that sort of developing in front of our eyes. The Jalen Carter situation with the injury, definitely not something this team needs to be dealing with as well. When you're trying to get your defense, and as I mentioned on the show yesterday with Kyle, I think the realization too from a lot of players and coaches should be that the defense is going to be the one that wins football games. And that defense has got to be better. And they're also going to have to take it to another level, and they're going to have to try to be an offensive defense. They're going to have to give the offense every opportunity they can possibly get to put points on the board and put their own points on the board. And the loss of Jalen Carter is huge in that department. So it's been a week of, I think, reality slapping a lot of people in the face. And it's been a week that a lot of fans have come to that realization that this team just isn't good enough. And it calls into question, and this is something more, I guess, for the end of the season once it's all over with. It does call into question the way the team is run. I get it. I'm not, this is not a Howie hate show. I'm not going down the Howie tunnel today. I will if you guys want me to, but I'm not wanting to. But don't you have to look at the way your GM set you guys up or set the Eagles up for this season? Everything from the free agent decisions to let players go, to the free agents that were brought in here, to the drafting, to the development of past draft picks. This season up to this point, and if it does not end in Super Bowl glory, or if it ends in a loss in the first round of the playoffs, you got to call into question the entire organization and the way they handled this season. And I don't think that's off base. I don't think that's a far out concept to think about. And I, it is what it is there. But going into this game Monday night now, and here's the thing about the Eagles that makes it, I think, easier for a lot of people to, sort of understand or sort of kind of cope with, is they're 8-4. I mean, the season is not over. I mean, they're a playoff team. They're a strong playoff team, and Dallas losing the other night or last night to Kansas City definitely sets them up for, taking that division back over with a win on Monday against the Chargers. Pretty much probably clinch it for them at this point. But, we're getting a lot of grief nationally for being a fan base that's really sort of spoiled or, I don't know, immature. But I disagree. And I said this last week after the Bears game. I really applauded the Eagles fans for their reception of the football team on Friday. I really applauded the way they handled themselves, because that's what a knowledgeable fan base does. They can see with their own eyes that this ain't right, and they were letting the team have it. And I know we took some grief nationally for that, which who cares? But and I like to see that, because it tells me that we're all not mindless homers, and that we're all not just sort of stuck out there in outer space thinking everything is going to be okay when it really isn't. So heading into this game Monday night against the Chargers, in a game that I think they lose 28-21, is this game a must-win? It's a must-win, but is a must-win style point game. And I think it is. I think the Eagles got to go out there and play have a dominating performance, put in a better effort, for God's sakes. I mean, we're still waiting for a complete game to be played. Here we are in week 14. We're still waiting for this team to develop an offensive identity heading into week 14. And if we come out of this game with a loss, if they lose against the Chargers, and if it's the same game plan where the offense doesn't do anything, the defense tries to hold the team in it, but just runs out of gas at some point, and they end up losing this football game to the Chargers. As we get into the week heading up to the Raiders game, what now? I mean, it'll be another week of, we know it's fixed, but we're going to work every day to get it better. It's going to be another week of, Kevin Padula is our play caller. It's going to be another week of calling for the quarterback to be replaced. And it's just not going to change, and it's just going to make these last few weeks a little bit more uncomfortable. And, going back to that 2023 narrative, I was talking with Kyle about that, and he mentioned that, one of the big things about there was two main things about that 2023 season. It was the 10-1 start, which they were the worst 10-1 football team in the league. And it was the gauntlet, right? That string of like 3 games, Buffalo, San Fran, and Kansas City. They played them like back to back to back. It was that gauntlet of games they had to go through. Then it was the end of the schedule because they came out of that pretty unscathed. The only game that they really played terribly in was the 49er game. But that was the game that brought on that collapse. And it was games against Seattle that they should have won, but they lost late. Then it was the late season games against Dallas and Arizona that they ended up getting dominated in. And now it's sort of kind of setting up into that aspect when you look at these remaining football games. You got a game with the Raiders coming up that there's no way the Eagles should lose that football game. But if they go ahead, and I'm going to tell you this, if they lose to the Chargers on Monday night, I'm taking the Raiders. I am, because that tells me it's over, man. This season's lost. Season might be lost. If they lose this game to the Chargers, I say the season's lost. And I would be concerned of them making the playoffs from that point forward. So the game against the Chargers for me is a must win, because if they don't win it, I believe the season is lost. And call me kismet, man, call me weird, but I don't think I'm going to get much of an argument from a lot of people. So heading into that Charger game on Monday night, not only is it important for the obvious reasons of scheduling and the standings and trying to get out of this losing streak, I'm telling you, if they lose this game to the Chargers, the season is lost. And I will go as far out on the ledge as say, if they lose to the Chargers, they're going to lose out the rest of the way, and they won't win another football game in 2025. And that's how I'm going to feel, because I don't see any changes coming. I don't think they can change things. They don't want to change things, whatever. They can't make trades. They can't do that anymore. And I really think we're heading for potentially a worse ending to the season than there was in 2023. So Eagles-Chargers is a critical game for this football team. Critical game. They got to find a way to win if they want to save their season. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if they do not win this game against the Chargers, the season is lost, and I don't think they're going to win another game the rest of the way. So that's where I stand on the Eagles on that. And again, it really hurts me to say those things, but that's how it's going to have to be. Let's kind of change our let's get into some hot stove tonight. Let's talk some hot stove. But before I do that, let's remind everybody that coming back to the network on Tuesday night, they weren't seen this week either because of scheduling issues, but Mike Lauer will be back with the Props, Locks, and Parlay program every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. So make sure you're tuned in for that and all of Mike's greatness with his NFL and NCAA predictions and all that. So make sure you're back with that. We are going to talk some. There's not much really there was a trade that became official. Let's get into that real quick. Let's do some hot stove real fast. Not much major going on hot stove wise, but let's do some final word hot stove. All right, yes. With the winter meetings bearing down, they will start on Sunday. The winter meetings will be conducted between the owners and the league and all the players' representatives. They'll be assembled on Sunday through Wednesday. 7th through the 10th is when the winter meetings are going to be this year, and hopefully the dominoes will start falling for not only the Phillies but for some other free agents, as we can kind of amp this up. Traditionally, this is the time of the year where you start seeing some of those bigger names fall as everyone's sort of in the same building and they can negotiate face to face. So we're going to get you caught up on the most latest and greatest of the hot stove comings and goings here on the network. So let's start with the Miguel Rojas of the Dodgers is staying with the Dodgers on a 1-year contract, batted .262 for 7 homers and 27 RBIs for the Dodgers, world champ Dodgers last season. Emilio Pagan is also staying in Cincinnati. He signed a 1-year deal. He was their closer last year, 32 saves for the pitcher, right-handed guy. Johan Oviedo was involved in a trade between the Pirates. This was the first big trade of the offseason. Him, Tyler Samaniego, and minor league catcher Adonis Guzman were sent to the Boston Red Sox in exchange for minor league pitcher Jesus Traviso, right-hand pitcher Jonathan Oviedo, and Johnston Garcia of the Pirates. So the Red Sox and Pirates pulling off the first big major trade of the offseason. Younger players involved here, but still a lot of them shifting gears as the Pirates getting kind of aggressive a little bit here in the offseason. Ty Addock from the Mets is now on his way to the Padres on a 1-year deal, and that's it. I just wanted to get you caught up, kind of clean the slate before the winter meetings, so that when we come back here on Sunday night, we can potentially talk about some bigger moves. So maybe we have new addresses for some players that are out there. Some of the big fish that are still on the market: Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, Kyle Schwarber, Bo Bichette, Cody Bellinger, Pete Alonso, Dylan Cease is off the market, Ranger Suarez, Edwin Diaz, Framber Valdez, Josh Naylor. He also signed, didn't he? Yeah, he did. He signed with the Mariners. He's staying. Trent Grissom, Luisa Reyes are some of the names that are still hanging around out there. So hopefully we have some addresses to throw on their names. And who is going to be a Philly next week, right? Who are the Phillies going to go? Is the Kyle Schwarber, which is a nauseating conversation about the rumor mill about him. Every week or every day, it's somebody new. Now, you got the Reds are back in the conversation with potential homecoming move there for Schwarber heading down to Cincinnati. If he does sign with the Reds, to me, there's really no reason to think that the Reds, who were a playoff team last year, are a Kyle Schwarber away from being a serious contender out there in especially in the National League. And I'd hate to say this, but if Schwarber decides to go to the Reds, it's strictly going to be for the money. I mean, they're at least, and they'll be banking on him. They probably give them at least 2 good years, 3 good years, maybe. I don't know if they're 3 years away from being a contender, a legitimate World Series contender. They're a good young team, but I don't know if a Kyle Schwarber does anything for them other than, puts butts in the seats there at Great American Park. To me, if Schwarber's chasing a ring, which, you could ask that question too. Is he really chasing a ring? I mean, he's got a ring, or is he chasing money? And that does it come down to money with him? I know a lot of Phillies fans want to wrap themselves in that warm blanket of he loves it in Philadelphia and he really wants to be part of what we're doing here. I mean, does he really though? I mean, think about it. Let's look at this through multiple sunglasses here. He's been here for 4 years and he's seen, the amazing 2022 season, but he's also seen absolutely nothing since then. It's been the same story every year after that. Does he have concerns about the Phillies? Does he have concerns that the window of winning might be closing here and that potentially moving on somewhere else, would be better for him? But again, for him to go to Cincinnati, it would purely be for the money. And I'm going to say it that way. I don't really see any other reason why Kyle Schwarber would want to play for the Reds. Yeah, I get the hometown thing, but it just doesn't make any sense in his baseball life right now. And if you're looking at the stage of his career, to me, it just doesn't make any sense why he would want to play in Cincinnati, except for chasing some money. So, but hopefully we find out something this week. Hopefully we can put to bed not only where Kyle Schwarber goes, but what are the Phillies going to do? And the narrative about this baseball team, and there's a list of about 7 or 8 teams out there that have not made really any significant moves. The Phillies have made a couple moves. They added 2, tweener guys that are going to one has former Major League Baseball experience, played a night, had himself a decent little career. And that was Brian De La Cruz, but he is long since past his prime. He's a minor league guy right now. He's just trying to capture one more year in the sun. Pedro Leon is another one coming from Baltimore, but he was picked up off of waivers. He's up and down, young player, but kind of that Johan Rojas sort of thing going on, where he's dominant down there at AAA, but just can't put it together at the major league level. But that's it, man. I mean, really, that's the only thing the Phillies have done, with the exception of Leander Paguro. They also picked him up from the Pirates off of waivers, but he's another young player that's going to be earmarked probably for AAA. But there hasn't been anything else made. There hasn't been any other moves made by this team, and I'm concerned about that, man. And we talked about it the other night on this show. Dave Dombrowski was very adamant, very, very to the point, that he doesn't necessarily see the payroll of this team ballooning any higher than it was last year for obvious reasons. And I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. I believe that. I believe that 100%. But does that mean that we're going to sign Kyle Schwarber, or we're going to sign a Kyle Schwarber-like player? The big rumor now is Cody Bellinger's linked hard to the Phillies, that the Phillies are making a big push on signing him. Well, so are we banking on a Cody Bellinger or a Pete Alonso or a Kyle Schwarber signing, and then that's it? And then the rest of the offseason is going to be comprised of a Max Kepler, Joe Ross, type of offseason? And is that the right way the Phillies should go? I mentioned it the other night. I really want to see this team sort of change up their DNA. And I know that they're probably going to put their eggs in the trade basket this year, and hopefully somebody bites on Castellanos. And maybe that's the bigger story that you should be watching coming into the winter meetings, is if they can move those guys. And if they can actually talk somebody into taking them off our hands, especially Castellanos and Bohm, and the stock get moved. So a lot of intriguing storylines potentially coming up for the Phillies as they move into the winter meetings here over the weekend. But my excitement's tempered, man. I really would love to know what the plan is here. And I know that JT is still hanging around out there. We got to settle that question. Ranger Suarez is still floating around out there. We got to settle that question. We're about 60 days away from the start of spring training. I mean, if you guys look at the calendar, pitchers and catchers report around the 10th of February. So we're about 60 days away from the start of spring training, and the Phillies haven't made any moves. None. And we don't even know what their offseason plan is. So I get it, but to me, it's a little frustrating. It's frustrating to have to wait over a month into the offseason for them to do anything. And, can they withstand an offseason like last year again? Can they stand with only adding a couple of bottom line kind of guys and expect this team to somehow figure it out over the next, in 2026, when they hadn't figured it out at all in the years past? So my big push for the Phillies in 2026 was to change the DNA of this team, was to go young, hand over about 3 or 4 starting jobs to some young minor league prospects. And I'd be okay if that's the plan too. But I want to see something. I mean, something. And I think we need to see something. And I'm really interested to see what the Phillies do. So we wait, and hopefully the wait is over, and hopefully we can start talking some hot stove Phillies stuff here in the next couple of days, as the winter meetings will start on Sunday and run through Wednesday in Major League Baseball. So there we go. There's the Phillies news. And before I transition into the Flyers, I do want to mention some Penn State stuff. Matt Campbell, what about this? The head coach of the Iowa State, what are they, the Cyclones? Is that what their name is? On the finishing stages of signing an 8-year contract to become the next head coach for the Penn State Nittany Lions. If anybody out there knows anything about Matt Campbell, please bring it to the table, because I don't know nothing, nor do I, nor was I paying attention to any of this. But Matt Campbell apparently is going to be the new head coach for the Penn State Nittany Lions moving into 2026 and beyond. So there you have it. Penn State's making some moves. Got themselves a new head coach. Man, what a terrible. Anybody see this season coming, man? Did anybody have any idea it was going to be this bad? 6-6, 3-6 in the Big Ten. This is a team that was one game off of getting to the Final Four last year. And they find themselves 6-6 and one year later, and returning pretty much everybody. I mean, they lost Carter and they lost a couple other players, but pretty much returning the majority of their team, and they just bottomed out the way they did. Just absolute out of nowhere type season for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Now they got themselves a new head coach in Matt Campbell. Could he be the change and get Penn State back to where they need to be? Well, we'll find out. I think I am. Give me a few minutes, Peppernick. I got to get through some things. If I do get through them in the next 5 minutes, we'll open up those phone lines. But yeah, so Penn State got themselves a head coach. Great stuff, folks. Riveting. But yeah, let's head into our other night segment. Let's get that out of the way as we're breezing through this special Friday night edition of The Final Word here on the It's Rap Sports. All right, we are back to the let's knock out this of the night segment here on the show tonight. Tonight we're of course still centered in on Flyers prospects. We have started doing NHL draft prospects, but we're going to limit it to just Flyers prospects tonight. And this is one of my favorite prospects that we're going to talk about tonight. This is one of these stories that makes you feel good. It makes you know that there's still a God out there. And makes you know that people are still rewarded for their hard work, because we talk a lot about players who come from that pedigree of, sports royalty, whatever. You're a top prospect coming out of high school into college, or a top 10 draft pick coming out of college into the pro level. You forget about those guys, and that only makes up maybe 1% of the sports playing populace of the United States of America when it comes to stuff like that. And like 90% or 99% of the others are just hardworking guys, man, that are just busting their butt, playing the game they love, trying to do what they can do to make it as a pro. And tonight we're going to talk about a prospect the Flyers have that embodies all of that. And let's bring him up right now. It's the Flyers center left wing, Jacob Gauthier. Jacob is an undrafted free agent. Now, Jacob, if you remember, we talked about him last year because the story was sort of headlining last year. He signed a PTO contract, a player tryout deal with the Reading Royals last season, the beginning of last year. Now, if you guys know how the hockey minor league system is set up, then don't listen to this next segment. But for those of you that don't know how hockey is set up, in the minor leagues, you have two feeder levels of teams for the NHL. You have the American Hockey League and you have the East Coast Hockey League. And actually, there's a team in the East Coast Hockey League that isn't affiliated, but most of them are. The parent team, which is in this case, the Flyers or the NHL team. So the Flyers affiliates in the AHL or the Phantoms, and their EHL affiliate is the Reading Royals. Now, the Flyers do have developmental rights on all the players that are on those hockey teams, but not the rights that you think. So not every player on the Phantoms is the property of the Flyers. They're not. There are some players that are on the Phantoms that are the property of the Phantoms. Now, what that means is the Phantoms could either trade that player. They never do, but in order for that player to go to the Flyers, he'd have to sign a contract with the Flyers. Now, the Flyers would have first dibs on signing that player because they're in their system, but they're not necessarily the property of that organization. Now, the majority of the players on the Phantoms are the property of the Flyers, but there's a few of them that are not. On the Reading Royals, the Flyers ECHL affiliate, about 90% of them are not the property of the Flyers, and only about 10% are. Jacob Gauthier signed a PTO contract, a player tryout deal, with the Reading Royals last season. He impressed the Royals so much that the Phantoms, because, again, the affiliate league, had first crack at signing him, or the Flyers saw him play in Reading and signed him to a two-way contract last year. And he was with the Phantoms, and I believe he actually got a cup of coffee. Did he get up there to the Flyers last year? Let me see. I don't remember. I think maybe he did. I don't know. Let me just pull his stuff up. But he has literally played his way into a position to potentially go to the NHL. Now, will he ever get to the NHL and be like that man? No, no. But the fact that he's literally a self-made man, has played himself up through the ranks of hockey in order to be part of, you know, playing in the league that he loves and playing the sport that he loves, is just an amazing thing to me. An absolute amazing thing for me to see. So he played 3 games for the Flyers last year. Or actually this year. He played 3 games this year for the Flyers. So undrafted, got the PTO contract from the Reading Royals, and has played his way into a pro career. Again, will he ever be anything other than that kind of guy? No. But he's a good news story. He's a grinder. He's a worker. And he's got the right ethic. And every organization needs a guy like this guy. So there you go. Tonight's Flyer prospect. Self-made story. Self-made man. Jacob Gauthier, or Goucher. Goucher. I'm not saying it. Is your prospect of the night. So there you have it. Good news story right there, man. I always like to talk about players like that. I always do. So, but let's now that I've gotten through all my segments but one, let's open up them phone lines. Let's see if you guys have anything you want to talk about. I'm going to open up the phone lines here on the program. You guys know the drill here. Once I drop this link into the chat, it'll be you guys can bang on it. It'll put you backstage. I'll bring you on. You can talk to me. I don't need your camera. I just need to be a way to be able to speak to you. So phone lines are open. Call at your own peril, and we'll have some fun. So good stuff, man. Let's talk Flyers real quick. Flyers are going to have they haven't played since Wednesday. Got a few days off as they get prepared for the Avalanche on Sunday. And the Avalanche are something like 21-6 to start the season. It's absolutely incredible start to their season. Flyers have an opportunity to take this very good start that they're on and see how they stack up against a team like the Avalanche, a Stanley Cup perennial type team with an opportunity every year that they do have to win a cup, and they'll have an opportunity to play the Flyers on Sunday. Now, the Flyers will get the Avalanche on a back-to-back, which is good for the Flyers, but it should be a really interesting game on Sunday. It'll we don't have football on Sunday, so Flyers will have a 1:00 start down there at the arena, and you'll be able to check that out. Maybe that'll sort of get your Sunday afternoon Jones in, without having Eagles football. But looking forward to the Flyers, Avs, and the Flyers in general it's been a really good story. But Tyson Forster going down for a few months with the broken arm, fractured arm, whatever it was. Yeah, Cam York left the game last night or Wednesday night against the who'd they play Wednesday night? Buffalo. So the Flyers are a little banged up, but so far so good. Now, what do the Flyers do about replacing Tyson Forster? Do they go out and make a big trade? Quinn Hughes is a name that's been circulated around. Do they go ahead and they make that move? Do they trade away one of their prospects? Do they trade a few of their prospects away in order to sort of plus up the team? So we'll wait and see what the Flyers do. but getting off to a really good start. They're within the big time mix of the Metropolitan Division. That's a tight ass division right now, and right now I think they're the 6th seed in the conference, or the 7th seed. Then they hold one of the wild card seeds. So good start to the Flyers so far. See if they can keep it up, and a good game. Sort of measure their ability and measure where they're at, measure their progress on Sunday against the Avalanche. So the Flyers looking pretty good. All right, let's take a caller. Michael Papernick joins me. Michael, what's up?
Yo, what up, Matty?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah. So I want to talk about the Phillies. I was talking with my buddies. I think they're going to be battling for 3rd place this year. There's a lot more issues with this team. We all want to see like either Schwarber or Alonso, Bellinger, but nobody's talking about. We only got 2 healthy pitchers going into the season.
Who are the 2 healthy ones?
Sanchez and Luzardo, and a big question mark on Nola. That's it. Nobody knows what Wheeler's. I mean, everybody's putting their eggs in Painter, thinking he hasn't pitched one ball in the pros yet up here. Nobody. We're all hoping Wheeler comes back. As the old Wheeler. I mean, I expect him to, but if you ain't going back till May. I mean, you can hit 10 home runs, but can the Phillies pitchers survive not giving up 11 runs?
So the way I see it, you're right. So you got Aaron Nola who's coming off. I mean, Aaron Nola is healthy. Let's leave it there. He's not hurt. I think he'll be fine. He had that lat problem. Listen, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. He had an ERA north of 6. I got you. Right. There's nothing to be excited about there, but he'll enter spring training healthy. Hopefully he can rebound. Hopefully what we saw in the drop in velocity is not a trend. Hopefully it was maybe injury related. We'll see. You also mentioned Jesus Luzardo and Christopher Sanchez, right? Then you got to go out and you got to add another starter, even if you're banking on Painter, because I don't think you can go into the season with blind faith that Andrew Painter is going to be a reliable starter every 5th day for the next 6 months. As you mentioned, he has never pitched a game in a major league, so you're going to have to go out and find another starter. And then you mentioned Wheeler at the end of May. I feel you, I do, but I also say this, Papernick. If it hadn't been for the Phillies pitching as it is right now, they never would have made it to the playoffs last year, in my opinion.
You're 100% with that, but I mean, look what they've done the last 2 years. I mean, they didn't show up against the Mets, and then they just crapped the bucket against the Dodgers after shutting down Ohtani, and they actually played decent in that series, but then I don't know. I mean, this team's in trouble.
Should they focus on potentially getting another starter? Is that what you're saying? Instead of looking at the obvious, or I mean, are they looking in the wrong spot? Is that what you're? What do you? I mean, what do you mean by this?
What I mean is, like, I don't mind getting Alonso or Schwarber, but I think they got to sign Suarez back.
Yeah, I've heard he's linked to a couple teams too.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We're all hoping that Nola is going to be Nola. If Nola don't come back like he is, I mean, what's he have, a career ERA close to 4 or something like that anyway? So it's like, I get that, but the problem is it's a lot of hopes when we only got 2 healthy pitchers.
Yeah, Nola's the big problem. Nola's the big wild card. I agree. If he's trending in the wrong way, because I know what was going on with his ribs and his lats, the injury and how extensive that was. That's what they kept saying. But I don't know, man. To me, it looked like, and maybe that is the problem, because he couldn't really generate power out of his core. But if that's not the problem and his velocity is down to like 95, 96, yeah, it's not going to be good. And you're right. We're taking sort of a leap of faith there with Nola. But
I mean,
yeah, Pepper.
Then you got the beginning of the lineup. I mean, not just if you got Nola healthy, you still got Painter, and you don't have a 5th starter. We're going to run. We got Taijuan Walker. He got $20 million or $8, whatever he's getting paid. So he's going to get run out there somehow. But then you got the lineup. It's Turner, Harper, I just say Schwarber. After that, who's scaring you?
Well, you got Turner leading off. You got nobody batting second. You got Harper batting
Schwarber
third. Well, right now he's
Schwarber's
not signed. Let's talk about who's signed right now. If we had to start the season right now, right today, you got Turner leading off, nobody batting second, Harper batting third, nobody batting fourth. You got nobody batting fifth. You got Castellanos batting sixth, maybe. Or no, nobody batting sixth. You don't have a catcher. You got Castellanos batting seventh. Maybe you can move Bohm up to 6, 7, and then you got Stott at 8. And the lineup's a mess right now because you got holes all over it because of contracts. I agree.
Look, number 2, what's with Crawford? Crawford, he'd be number 2. Look, he's a first-round pick. He's been dealing with pressure probably since high school. I mean, just throw him up there. I guarantee if he played for the Braves or any other teams, he'd be batting 1 or 2 in the lineup.
Yeah. And if the Phillies do that,
but not the Phillies.
Well, no, you're right. But if they do it, I'd rather have him lead off and bat Turner second.
Yeah, however, they're going to do it. I mean, because if you could sign Alonso or Schwarber, you bump them down to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Then you could put Bohm. If Bohm's still on this team, okay, he's probably a 5, 6, 7 guy in any lineup. But I mean, if you can get him at 5 and he can give you the 90 RBIs that he's given you before, that's fine. But I don't, I don't think anybody's going to take him in a trade. I mean, we're stuck with that guy. I'm telling you, 3rd place, Marlins. We're battling with the Marlins next year because people forget this. People, for the last 2 years, the Braves have been hurt.
Yeah.
The Braves get healthy, and they just go into their minor league system and just bring up anybody, and they turn into stars. And then the Mets, I hear, now there you go. Schwarber's linked to the Mets now.
So Suarez.
Yeah. Now tell me they signed both of them. What do you do?
Well, we got to go get Alonso. We got no choice. You got no choice.
Look, just think about now. Howie's won a Super Bowl, right? You got Maury taking that ship because Josh Harris don't care. He's in Washington. He don't care, the owner. Maury's taking that ship and sinking it. He's sinking it like the Titanic.
Yep.
Then you got Dombrowski kind of sinking it like the Titanic, and the Flyers are just floating along. So, I mean,
the thing about Dombrowski is this, and it's funny because I think there's only about 7 teams right now. And I know we're only a month into offseason, but there's only about 7 teams that have not made a significant move at the major league level. And the Phillies are one of those 7 teams. I don't know why we're waiting. Is it because they're waiting to see what Schwarber is? That tells me that's what they're doing. They're making a push on Schwarber. And if they don't get him, they're going to pivot. But I hate that. I hate the fact that we're putting our eggs in a potential one basket right now. And then there's a plan B that I hope they have formulated when he doesn't sign here. I don't like the waiting around stuff. And I have a feeling that they're going to sign one big name, and it's going to be either Schwarber, Bellinger, Alonso. It's going to be one of those guys to replace Schwarber if he leaves. But then after that, as you mentioned, there's more work to be done with this lineup. And what is that? What does that look like? And if it's another Max Kepler year, Jake Cave or Whit Merrifield, Habernick, man, we're in trouble if that's what the plan is.
Well, they're in trouble anyway. I mean, if you don't get Schwarber, what are you going to take Cody Bellinger? Like is he going to come in and give you 40 home runs?
Nah, give him 36. I mean,
he ain't going to. He only hit 20. He hit 29 last year, so I'll give him 30. 29? That's about it.
No, I'll give him 30. I'll give him 7 more batting at the bank. Okay, I'll give him 7 more.
Yeah. Look, I ain't got no trust in that guy.
Oh, he's too old.
So, I mean, like, they're outfield. They don't even have a left fielder. If they went into the season this year, it's Crawford, Marsh, Castellanos.
Well, yeah, I guess in the Castellanos. Yeah, that's an all-star outfield right there, huh?
I mean, I'll tell you what. I don't understand why the Phillies are so afraid to put Rincon Jr. in right. Put Crawford in left, sign Bader, put him in center. Why not? What are they so? That's how you save money because these guys come up. These guys you don't have to pay for another 3 years. You don't think they're hungry and want to make $25 million a year in 3-4 years from now? Yeah, they are.
100%.
So let them come up and be hungry. And
you mentioned the Braves and Dodgers. That's what they do. They go right down to the minor leagues and pull up Joe Blow, and he becomes the next Freddie Freeman. And because they give him an opportunity.
And not just that. Our catcher's going to be Marchand next year with Party Boy Stubbs. That's the backup.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking about Wilson Contreras from the Cardinals. He's 34 years old. I'd rather have JT.
So would I. If that's what they're going to go, I would have JT as well.
It's as good. I mean, it's a and the Phillies have been notoriously slow. My God, I'm 56. My God, free agency, whenever it started, they've never jumped right into it, except for the Tomey thing.
Yep, I
think Tomey was the only one, and they did with Andrew McCutchen, what I said to you before when they, did the greatest line ever. Did you see the contract they gave me? I mean, he probably couldn't sign that fast enough. And then you got, they signed Turner and Harper. I get all that. Oh, I'll tell you what I was telling my buddy today. If the Phillies go south this year, or they're like third place or something, Harper's going to ask to be traded because he wants money. How can you give a guy more money when he's only playing 90, 100 games a year? You can't. And he's crying for more money.
That's an interesting point because, and you're looking at Turner and Harper both. If this does not work out, as you said, and it begins to sort of disintegrate, and they don't have a good 2026, and it's a harbinger of things to come because the team's getting too old and they don't have enough, backfill. You're right. Does Harper become a malcontent? Does he pull a AJ Brown? Does he pull a TO? You're absolutely right, and I could definitely see that happening. And then the same thing with Turner, but I hope it doesn't get to that because we're in for these guys for what Harper's got. What, 5 more years left on his contract?
6 years? Like yeah, 6 more years. Turner was stuck to his 65.
He's got like 10 more years left on his contract.
But here's the difference. The difference is Turner's kind of straightened out the ship from the first year. Okay. Now, but Harper, it's not that Harper he just can't stay healthy. That's the problem. He's not staying healthy, and he's. What do you do? And then he's crying for more money. Well, I don't, I mean, if you look at his stats and you look at Mike Trout's stats, they're basically identical.
Yeah.
If you look, the only thing is Mike Trout's won, I think, 3 MVPs, maybe. Never been to a World Series, never been to the playoffs one time. That's about it. I mean, serious and legitimately, what has Harper done since the year they went to the World Series? What has this team done? Nothing. They've went down. Arizona put the blueprint out there. The powder beat them, just throw crap to them. And the Mets did it. The Dodgers did it. And our manager just throws the same lineup out there thinking like it's going to change. And why not move guys around and put some pressure on the pitchers, but on the opposite, but they don't. Third place this year. Third place. I'm calling it.
That's a possibility.
I don't think. I think that's. I think it's going to happen.
Man, what a season that would be if they end up in third place. But listen, there's always this. There's always Dave Dombrowski surprises everybody, and Dave decides to go with the youth movement, and he does sign a power bat in the middle of that lineup, and he gives Rakonis and he gives Crawford an opportunity, and Andrew Painter comes out of the gate smoking hot. There is that chance, but I mean, there's a thin line, I think, between the Phillies being a playoff team and falling completely out of it in 2026. A thinner line than they've had since this era has started in 2022. And this is it's a very important offseason. It's very important. And I know a lot of fans, you, me included, have been crying for change. I don't think we care what that change is, just a change from what they've been doing and different faces, if they don't and they run it back, first of all, I don't know what that says about Dombrowski and what that says about how he really feels about us as fans. I just hope they don't run it back. I hope they make significant changes to this team and go with that.
How's this? If they do run it back, you got to switch the lineup around.
But
that's
how?
You got to bump Schwarber down, put somebody at number 2, Turner 1, 2, whatever with Crawford.
We don't have it. We don't have those guys.
I mean, well, if you put Crawford at 1 and Turner 2, or flip it around, that's what I'm saying. Then you can bump a Harper or a Schwarber to 4. You know what I mean? They have to do this. There's no other. That's the problem. I don't know why these pitchers even pitch to Schwarber and Harper. I'd walk them and say, Bob, you beat me. And all the other guys beat me. You know, the RBI machine, Brandon Marsh, batting 5th. He can beat us, you know. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. Like, they don't.
Yeah. You know, the lineup is badly unstructured. It's been badly unstructured since they brought Castellanos and Harper here. I agree.
Since they hired the manager, too, you know. Yeah. And everybody's living off 4 years ago. They're all still living off 4 years ago in the World Series they got to.
I think that's coming due this year, Papernick. If they struggle out the gate, it's going to be tough for Rob Thompson to keep his job. I'm telling you.
Who's going to be the manager? They didn't even sign Matty yet.
I know they haven't signed anybody yet, but somebody's going to get that job.
Well, I mean, Ben Davis.
Bring him down from the booth, man. Yeah,
why not? I'm telling you, it's going to be. I think the Phillies could have a down year this year, and some of the money coming off after this year, they could pick it back up for the year afterwards. Because you lose Walker, if they got to be stuck with Castellanos, if they got to pay some of it, that comes off.
No, he's a free agent at the end of this year, at the end of 2026.
Well, that's what I mean. But if they trade him and they got to pick up some of that money, you know, that comes off. So that whatever they're paying out, that comes off at the end of the season. You know, so if they pick up 12, 13, 14 mil, that comes off. Walker's off the books. I mean, all this money comes off the books where they can make some moves then in the season afterwards, because that's a big season, because that's the season that Wheeler says he's retiring in 2027.
Let's see who's a free agent next year. But this is interesting. Castellanos, if he makes it, will be a free agent. Taijuan Walker. Jesus Luzardo's a free agent. Alec Boehm's a free agent. Matt Strom's a free agent. Sosa's a free agent. Alvarado a free agent. So that's the free agent class of 2027.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is all that like they're talking about trading Strom right now, but there's could be with Strom or Alvarado. It's funny. Strom is the guy they're thinking about trading, but not Alvarado. But I don't get it. But Luzardo, I think they got. See, this is the problem. You can't lose Suarez and Luzardo back-to-back years with Wheeler talking retirement in 2027. You can't. It's just this team's. I don't know. I'm just going to sit back and get my popcorn. As Tio would say, get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, it's going to be one of them years.
Don't worry. March 1st, the Phillies will start signing everybody, just like they sweated out Carlos Santana. You know, they'll put somebody on third. Oh, that's who it was. Al Bregman. They're talking about signing.
Yeah,
that's the big name. But the problem is, if you don't get rid of Baum, where do you put Bregman's going to be an outfielder? That's great. Well, they might do it.
No, he's got to play third.
Well, okay, so Baum's going to go to first base and Harper's going to the outfield. That's going to be Harper, Marsh, and Crawford in our outfield.
That's an interesting outfield, man. That is an interesting outfield.
All right, Matty. You have a good night.
All right, man. We'll see you on Sunday, Papernick.
All right. You have a good night, bud. Bye.
You too. Michael Papernick pressing the panic button a little bit there. I don't know. But listen, his point is very well taken. I agree with what he's saying. I think this is a very pivotal offseason for the Phillies. And I know in this town, especially, time separates the pain. But I know there was probably 99.9% of the Philly fan base clamoring for change across the board 24 hours after they lost to the Dodgers. And I know here we sit a couple months later, and the prospect of running this thing back 24 hours after we lost to the Dodgers would make Phillies fans physically ill. But now here we are a couple months later, and the prospect of running it back not only seems like a real possibility, but is, now we're starting to sort of, as fans, come to terms with it and try to make it sound like it's going to change or be different at all than it was last year or the years prior. And it might be the undoing of this organization. I understand they're limited to what they can do financially, and I understand the contracts that they've were invested in with the idea that they'd have at least one or two World Series championships in their pocket by this point, or close to one. And it just hasn't worked because the rest of the lineup just is critically unbalanced, imbalanced, unstructured. This is a pivotal offseason, especially with the labor situation in Major League Baseball next season. And is this the wrong offseason with the labor problems potentially looming for the Phillies to try to get right or try to change dramatically externally? It's probably the right season to do it internally. And if you've paid any attention to me or this show, I want them to go major youth in 2026. I want them to say goodbye to Kyle Schwarber, re-sign Pete Alonso, or sign Pete Alonso, move him to first, Harper to DH. I would love to go out and sign Luis Ariz from the Padres, but that's probably not going to happen. So I might have to live with Stott at second, which I can. Turner's my shortstop. I'm going to turn third base over because I'm trading Alec Boehm or cutting him or sending him adrift into the Mediterranean, doing something with him. He's not going to be a Philly. Turning third base over to Otto Kemp until hopefully Aiden Miller at some point in June or July says, I'm ready to go. Let's go to the majors. I'm going to re-sign JT because I have no other choice, honestly. With the free agent market, he mentioned Wilson Contreras, who needs a cane back there. JT is probably the best option because we don't have anything else in the system catcher-wise. So I'm going to re-sign JT. My outfield will be Crawford in center, Gabriel Raconis Jr. in right, and I initially said Harrison Bader in left, but I can live with somebody else out there in left. I could live with a Harrison Bader-esque type player. I would be even okay if they brought a Kepler back. Not him specifically, but a Kepler-like player. It's really Kepler and Bader are kind of the same type of player, right? And then my rotation to start the season would be, now to start the season is because Wheeler won't be ready until late May, right out of the president of baseball operations' own mouth. He'll be ready to pitch on May 28th. He actually threw a date out there, May 28th. I expect to see him standing on the pitcher's mound. So to start the season, I got Sanchez. Luzardo is my number 2. I'm going Nola 3. What the hell did I say 4? I got to put my graphic back up. So I got Nola, Sanchez. So I would have to have Sanchez as my 1, Luzardo as my 2, Nola as my 3. And I guess in this configuration, I'd have to either put a pitcher who I got to sign in off season, like a Walker Buehler or a Patrick Corbin type guy at the end of his career, looking maybe to chase a ring, as my 4, then Painter as my 5, or move Walker into 4 and Painter at 5 until Wheeler's ready. And I can live with that, honestly. Honestly, I can live with that rotation. I really can. Yeah, I can live with that. But yeah, and well, here it is. For those of you that are watching, here is my actual configuration, again, with Luis Ariz factored in. This to me changes the DNA of this baseball team. This to me is the change I'm looking for. I'm getting a little greedy with the Luis Ariz. I admit that's probably not going to happen. I'm getting potentially a little greedy with Kaylee Jansen from the Angels being in the back end of my bullpen. I might be getting a little greedy with that. But other than that, I think most of my change is coming internally. And that's what I want to see the Phillies do in 2026 for multiple reasons. We've kept hearing about how the minor league system has blossomed over the past 3 years, starting to really start turning out some, potential MLB threats. Well, it's time to let at least 2 of them, or let 3 of them actually, have their opportunity this year, along with Otto Kemp from last year, and then hopefully Aiden Miller at some point this year, and Andrew Painter. We got to start getting something from the minor leagues. We cannot live on the free agent and trade market. You're not going to be able to build. It's not 1998. You can't go out like the Yankees did and buy your team. You just can't do that anymore. And the way the Phillies are, hamstrung with some of these contracts, they're just not going to be able to do that. So you got to find contributions from inside your organization, which I'm fine with. And if that's the road they want to go, again, I'm okay. But I want to see signs that that's what they're doing, which would mean Alec Boehm gets traded, which would mean Nick Castellanos gets traded, which would mean, and again, in my fantasy world, Bryson Stott gets traded. And they don't bring anybody in. And they hand the job over to a Gabe Rakonis, or they bring in some guy that kind of work the job or fight for the job with Rakonis in the spring. I want to see signs that they're going that way. I don't want to replace Alec Boehm for an Alex Bregman and then throw another power bat into that lineup, re-sign Schwarber, get Bregman. Okay, what the hell are you doing with that group? Who is your number 2 hitter? I want to see a team that's a little bit more diverse. That can put the ball on the ground, in the gap, down the line, a sac fly, a sac bunt, stolen base. And that's my real concern about the Phillies, because I still think the window's open. But I don't think the recipe works. It hasn't worked. And I don't want to see him waste another year trying to make it work. Bring in some internal talent, turn them loose. If they work, great. If they don't, okay, well, then we got our answer and we know. And I don't want to hear the excuse, well, you should have kept so-and-so in the minor leagues. No, man. Oh, come on. That's such a lame-o excuse, man. Dominic Brown faltered because Major League Baseball figured him out and he didn't adjust. That's why he faltered. It wasn't because he was brought up here too early. Scott Kinnerly did not adjust. And that's why he failed. Mickey Moniak is actually playing pretty well. I wouldn't mind having Mickey Moniak on this baseball team right about now. He's an option out in center field. So it's time, man. It's time to turn it over to them and see what they can do. That's all I'm saying. Sending Boehm adrift in the Mediterranean. Yeah, send him adrift in the Mediterranean. I don't want Austin Hayes. I mean, listen, it's an Austin Hayes, Max Kepler, Harrison Bader. They're all the same guy. I mean, they're all the same person. It's that skill set, I just need somebody out there that can bat 260, fill the hole at like 7 on my lineup. I'm not asking much for my left fielder. Harrison Bader was a great story. But I don't know if, Harrison Bader is somebody long-term. I don't know if he can continue to be that great story. I mean, he's been a 230, 235 career hitter, but he is different. And if anything, you could potentially move him up to 2 in your lineup if you needed him. But I just want to see a change in the way they do business. I don't want to see the same let's hit 7 home runs in one game and then score 5 runs over the course of the next 6 games. I just don't want to see that no more. But Papernick, I do believe they have enough pitching. I do. They got to find another starter for some safety net concerns. They got to bring in another starter like a Walker Buehler or a Patrick Corbin or somebody like that. Somebody that can eat innings. Yeah, they got a 4.50 ERA, whatever. But as long as you can give me 6 innings a game and keep your team in it, I'm okay with that. But they're going to have to pick up some insurance with some pitchers. And they got some pitchers down in the system. I mean, Seth Johnson, Moises Chase. It's time to maybe get some of these guys some serious looks too. Seth Johnson might be a spot starter at the beginning of the season. Put him down at 4, and then I don't know if you could put, work him and Painter in the same rotation right now. But there's options internally for pitching as well. But I do agree. You need to bring in a safety net for that rotation, at least until Wheeler gets back or until Nola rounds back into form. So And they got a lot of work to do. And when the hell are they going to start? When are they going to start working, man? Winter meetings on Sunday. Definitely going to be keeping you up to date. Hopefully it starts, some of these names start, falling. Hopefully by this point next week, we know where Kyle Schwarber's going. If it'd be here or somewhere else. It's frustrating to sit here and wait for this. But it is what it is. So let's move on to my final segment of the night. Yep. The card review is back. I only did one or two of these this week. Wow, I've been bad on this. Definitely been an influx. I picked up over probably 500 cards this week, being it's the holiday season. I've been splurging on myself. Don't tell anybody. Picking up some packs along the way here this week. I had some downtime this week, and we made a major financial deal in my family where we were able to pick up a little extra cash. A lot of extra cash, actually. So, sort of splurge a little bit this week, and picked up some nice cards along the way. But we're gonna talk about a card. We're gonna stay in the holiday theme because that's what we're doing. I'm gonna try to keep this holiday driven for the rest of December. Talking about the holiday set cards. We're going to stay in 2025 Topps, this year's holiday set, Topps holiday cards 2025, and a card that of a player. And a really cool variant of this card. I pulled this a couple of weeks ago. It's a real cool card. I love the way it's designed and set up. And it's a really good young player. The Yankees rookie sensation, Ben Rice, who, by the way, I'm going to meet tomorrow. I'm going to go have him sign a baseball. I'm going to have him sign this, not this card, but I have a few other Ben Rice cards. I'm going to a card signing tomorrow that he's going to sign a card for me. So that's going to make the value of his cards go up a little bit. Ben Rice, the outfielder from the New York Yankees. Again, look at this. This is his Topps 2025 holiday card, card number H8. It's the aqua blue refractor silver glitter variant parallel card. This picture does not do it any justice, really, but it's a really cool looking design of a card. I already told you I love what Topps did with the 2025 holiday cards. And as we get deeper into December and I start breaking out some of the 2024 and 23s and 22 holiday cards, you'll definitely see the changes in designs. 2024 is notorious for having Christmas throwing up all over the baseball card, but this is a really cool looking card. I love the variant. I love the aqua or the light blue. They're calling it light blue, not aqua, but light blue, silver glitter, 2025 Ben Rice holiday card from Topps. Again, I thought Topps got the holiday cards this year correct. And here's the card in its physical form. Again, I don't think it's any really better, this picture, but this is the card in its actual physical form. About $12 right now, this card on the reputable sites that I use. So not a bad little deal there for a holiday card. Holiday cards don't typically go for much. But Ben Rice's rookie holiday Topps 2025 going for about $12. And again, I'm going to a card show tomorrow. Well, it's not really a show. It's a signing. He's signing cards for 2 hours tomorrow. And my wife actually got this for her son. But he's going to be in New York City with my wife and their family. They're going for the day. They asked me if I wanted to go, and I was like, no, I'm good. I'm not going to walk around New York City with a bunch of women and teenagers. Yeah, not doing that. So I'm gonna go to the card show and begrudgingly have Ben Rice sign a card for us. But it's definitely going to be. He's a good young player, very good young player actually. So, but yeah, there's tonight's card review. Again, I love what they did with the 2025 holiday cards. I love the design, the garland around the border, and then that variant, the light blue with the silver glitter. Just a really cool variant card. It's a refractor, as you can see him kind of popping off the picture there. So $12, not a bad card, not a bad price for a holiday card. Papernick says, good show. Thank you. I appreciate it, Papernick. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. a very rare, first ever actually, final word on a Friday night, as I sort of came in out of nowhere tonight to make up for some lost time this week. I want to thank everybody. And I also didn't like the fact that we didn't have anything scheduled on the network tonight. But next week, we'll be back in force. The debut of the world debut of the Friday or Philly Friday Frenzy with Al Zafiri will make its world premiere next Friday night at 9 o'clock. And it'll be every Friday at 9 o'clock from that point forward. Let's put the schedule up one last time. Again, nothing tomorrow. So forget about us tomorrow. But make sure you're back Sunday morning as we'll get the week started off right. Philly AM Sports, Steel City pre- and post-game, Flyers Avalanche post-game, and me. I'll be on Sunday night. That's a mistake. I will be on Sunday night at 9 o'clock. So we'll get the week going in the right direction for you. And next week, as I said, we'll have Friday programming, and I think we have a post-game on Saturday. We do. We have 2 post-games on Saturday. So, no, 1 post-game. We have Flyers Hurricanes. So we'll have programming throughout the week next week. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, had fun, enjoyed our broadcast week together. And I hope you enjoy your weekend. And I hope to see you guys back here on Sunday morning with the Philly AM Sports Show, and then later on Sunday night with me and the final word. Until then, have a great weekend, everybody. Merry Christmas. Take care.